I don't know if you ever find yourself in this situation when it's very late at night, you're tired, you just wanna go to bed in 15-20 minutes, nobody's around to play anything, you won't have the time to set up and play a solitaire anyways, but still you would not mind playing something. Well, if you ever find yourself in that situation, a good solution might be Airborne in my pocket. It is a solitaire game that can be downloaded and printed for free from the internet. It started as a variant of the game Zombie in My Pocket, and then it became its own game, and now it has a lot of expansions and a campaign book, a lot of things related to it. The topic is D-Day. You are a paratrooper landing behind enemy lines in the morning of D-Day. Your task is to find some explosives and to enter a German bunker full of very unfriendly soldiers and blow up the guns that are going to fire on the approaching ships, of course, in the morning of the landings. After you do that, you also have to try to get out of the bunker alive. Not a very easy task, and in fact, it's not a game that you will win very often. It's a game, as I said, you can print and just make your own copy for free, or you can have it printed professionally like I did, and as you can see, it really is a game that fits in your pocket. They're not just saying. The components of the game are basically a deck of event cards, not a deck of cards that you use in different scenarios, different campaigns and variants of the game, but we're going to talk only about the basic game today. And then you have two decks of tiles, one with outside locations which you shuffle after you have put aside the drop zone, which is your starting area, and a deck of inside locations that again you shuffle after you have taken aside the entrance, which you will use later. You also have a card to track your health. You place a marker here, 6 is your starting value, and you will move it down as you get wounded or up as you heal. You keep track of the time that's passing, and also if there are special situations that you put a marker here to remind if you're in the red alert situation, if you're wounded, can carry only one item, or if your weapon jammed. Also, you have two cards, two item cards, and you will place a marker on a certain item when you're carrying it, and then you will add or remove markers as needed to record the items that you are finding or losing during the game. So you start from here, and what you do at the beginning is you shuffle this event deck. That's roughly much better than what I just did. Then you take two cards and you put them aside. You're not going to use them, so each time you don't know exactly what cards are in here. Then you have to place your marker here, which can be a toy soldier, a generic marker. Somehow I find it funny to use some completely silly figurine. And what are we going to use today, for example, is a cow on a boat. So you place your heroic cow there, and then you decide where you want to move in one of the directions allowed by the tile. You draw the tile and you place it wherever you want, as long as it's legal. And several tiles will have special events. Whether or not they have an event printed on, when you move on a tile, you draw an event card and you resolve the event that applies to the area where you are. Outside, inside, or after you blow the enemy guns, you will have to use the red alert section of the cards. In this case, LA plans fly over your head. Very atmospheric, but nothing happens really. So I just decided I want to move here. I draw another location. I place it there. Move, draw another card, see what happens here. There are special circumstances related to the things printed on the card, and I just keep moving. What I'm trying to do here is I'm looking for, well, for example, here I get the supply truck and I get in a blind alley. Now I have to go and look somewhere else. What I'm looking for is this card here, the ammo dump, where I will find the explosive that we'll use to blow up those guns. As you can see, the card says resolve extra event to obtain explosives. So first I'll resolve the card just to get there, and I'll have to resolve another one which represents what happens while I'm looking for those explosives. Now I found them. I keep moving because the next thing that I'm looking for is the bunker door. Here we go. And let's smooth things a little bit here. Now I found the bunker door. Yay! And I move, I draw a card. The next thing that I do, I can finally enter here. So I place the entrance of the bunker and I just keep moving and drawing, moving and drawing, following the same rules. Just now I have to use that other section of the deck, of the cards. Of course, I'm not looking for the card that I want to show you. And you go and move around in the bunker, where of course things are more violent because there are more German soldiers there, until you find the gun control room. When you find the gun control room and you had the explosives, then what you do is you again draw an extra card to represent what's happening while you're placing the explosives, and if you survive that, then you enter the red alert phase, and where people are really mad at you. And what you need to do is to run out of the bunker. In the basic game, you win if you blow up the guns and then reach the exit of the bunker. In the advanced game, you have to go all the way back to your drop zone. And so you just move, draw cards, draw cards, draw some extra cards for some extra actions. Another case where you draw a card is when you're given the option of looking for an item, and if you decide to do so, you flip a card and you look at the item at the bottom of the card. Each card has one, as you can see, and you just place a marker on those cards I showed you to indicate that you have that item now. Another way in which you can use a card is when you decide to heal. So you just rest for a turn, nothing happens, you just get a card and put it aside. You don't even need to resolve it, and just by doing that you recover some health. Now this is very important because this deck here is not only your event card deck, but it's also your countdown clock. In fact, well, when you exhaust the deck, then you shuffle it again, take you aside, and go through this other deck, into the deck again. Problem is, you're allowed to go through the deck only 3 times. Only 3. If you use the deck 3 times and you haven't completed the mission, you haven't blown up the guns and made it out of the bunker, then you lose the game, just because you weren't able to complete your mission in time. And that means that you really have to budget time well and be careful. If you spend too much time healing your wounds or looking for items, then you are at risk of running out of time. Of course, if you don't get any items, if you don't heal your wounds, then it's dangerous as well, because you might fall in combat. Combat is extremely straightforward and simple. It's very mathematical. When you encounter some enemy soldiers, there will be a number of enemies that you're encountering. Then you look at your cards, at your object cards, and you see the firepower of the weapon that you're carrying. So for example, if you're carrying a Colt, you have a firepower 1. If you're using the rifle, it's 2. Then what you do is you subtract the power of your weapon from the number of soldiers. For example, I have the rifle, I encountered 5 SS soldiers, 5 minus 2 is 3, and I lose 3 points. It is that simple, nothing else, just lose 3 points. And so you can see it's very mathematical. There isn't much that you can do, but just taking those hits, the only option that you have is evading, which means you can move, you can just escape from a fight by moving into a tile that you had already seen before. So it's particularly useful when you're running away after blowing up the guns. And if you decide to do that, you just immediately and automatically move in the tile where you have already been, and you lose 1 health. So it's pretty easy. It's not such a hard choice. Pretty easy to do the math. Sometimes, should I lose 4 points or 1? I think I'll just evade. Clearly the game is as light as they come. There aren't many choices you can make, and those choices are very often pretty obvious. Should I lose 4 points or 1? I'll go for 1. But 99% of the game is really the cards that you get and the tiles that you draw, and you have no control over those. You can just choose how many you deal with. This being said, the game is surprisingly entertaining. If you're in that state of mind of games you would like to play when you have 15 minutes before going to bed, etc., etc., then this gets the job done, because you just sit back and relax and see the game develop in front of your eyes without much work on your part. This type of game might not win international awards, might not get so much recognition, but again, if you are in the mood for that type of game, this is a fun one. Also, it has a lot of expansions. There is a campaign book of over 70 pages, so different games that you can create with these components, and you can find it for free online. Other expansions equally free unless you want to have them printed the way I do. It can be fun. It can be fun, and also again, it's completely for free, so you can't really go too wrong with that.